All right, I'll just open the kimono, be raw and vulnerable. 2 of my 3 property managers gave notice within the last week. 2 of my 3 property managers.
Welcome to the Property Management Success Podcast, where we interview leaders in the industry to uncover the secrets to profitability, efficiency, and achieving true freedom, whether it's your time, money, or lifestyle. I'm your host, Tony Klein, and I'm here to help you build a wildly successful property management business. Let's get to it. All right, Mark, let's jump in. Normally, I'd start and ask you how you are, but...
Hey, Tony!
When I asked you how you were in the pre-show, you gave me some pre-scripted, like you just came from some motivational seminar or something.
We're not thinking and feeling here. We're doing and we're being. So I decide how I show up. It's been rough. It's been a rough 3 days, but we'll leave it at that.
So, so let's talk about that without necessarily sharing any details you don't want to share, but. You have a reputation in the marketplace for running a pretty good operation. And so how do you handle when something like that comes up where it turns into a week that doesn't go the way that it was planned?
All right, I'll just open the kimono, be raw and vulnerable. 2 of my 3 property managers gave notice within the last week. 2 of my 3 property managers.
Now, Mark, that's only 66%. So...
So, I have been dealing with an amplified megaphone of head trash the last couple days. And this ties into ultra running, and I don't want to make this our entire topic, but some of the ideas coming into my head is, what's wrong with you? You're not a good enough leader that people want to follow you. You know, if your business was successful, you wouldn't have this kind of turnover. Like heavy head trash, loud in my head. And you know what I learned from running about head trash, Tony?
What's that?
You know what I learned about whether we should behave according to how we feel in the moment from ultra running?
Yeah.
We should not do that thing. We should never react or take action based on how we feel. We should be totally separate from our emotions. Our emotions should feed us input that we should consider. But what I learned when I was at really bad places, deep in pain caves in ultra marathon races, was that if I had taken action according to how I felt in that moment, I would have stopped, or I would have sat in a chair too long and my body would have started shutting down. I learned through ultra marathon running that we listen, we're aware of how we feel, but it doesn't define us. And we then change the inputs. We do not stop ever. We change the inputs. And right now, last night I ran. Last night I did a spontaneous, fun event that strengthened my relationship with my daughters. Last night I read. I immersed myself in scriptures, prayer, reached out to family. I was racing with who can I reach out to and contribute to their lives? Because when I do that, the good vibes come back tenfold. And so I think this is what I'm learning about leadership is recognize the head trash for what it is. Look at it, stare it down, but then just that my decision point is what I do. It's not what happens, it's what we do that makes a difference.
I want to build on that because you tied it to ultra running, so I'm going to hit on that and then we'll bring it back to business. So the year that I did the absolute best performance I had out at Moab, which was the Moab 240, 240 miles of foot racing on foot on single track trails, up in the desert of Utah, up into the mountains over 10,000 feet, back down to the desert, back up to the Abajo Mountains, back to the desert, 240 miles. One of the things that I sort of knew this, but I really put it to the test of, as you mentioned, you don't let your emotions control your actions, but if you get really clear on the actions you need to take, it will affect your emotions.
100%.
And when I was in a really dark period in that race, there was just something clicked that I'm like, you're focusing too much on yourself and poor pitiful you, and you need to get out of that. You need to get out of that headspace. And so the next aid station I got to, I made sure that I said thank you and showed gratitude and looked each one of the volunteers in their eyes and said thank you and told them how much I appreciated them being out there. And all of a sudden, my pain started going away because I took the focus off of me and the negatives, and I put it on other people and the positives and everything that had to come together for me to be able to be there. And I just started being thankful and having that gratitude. And once my head got right, now I could start taking the momentum I had from changing my actions and build on that. And I think that this is a great opportunity for you to now do that same thing in business.
I'm so grateful for this event. Yeah, I'm so grateful to be faced with really loud negative head trash. I'm so grateful for friends like you and other people I know in the industry that we can reach out to each other and support each other. And I'm grateful for the opportunity to contribute. That's what we're here for.
Every time we add somebody to our team, we're either raising the bar or lowering the bar. Very rarely do we keep it the same. Very rarely do we replace talent with like talent. So this is a nudge for you to now level up. Take that opportunity to take what you were okay with. I talk all the time about building a championship team. You had people that maybe were getting you into the playoffs. Maybe see this as an opportunity to now we're going to get to that championship by bringing in people, learning from the past, not to discount whoever they were and what they served for your team at that moment, but now it gives you an opportunity. So if we look at this as an opportunity, sky's the limit on what you're able to do now.
There's a really important, and we're going to record something else about this, there's a really important shift that we want to lean into on property management and leaning into asset management. And so this disruption to my operations team is a tremendous opportunity for me to handpick 2 people to help move us through that transformation and significantly level up the value we can create in the marketplace. So I'm excited about that.
Very good. Well, we will definitely stay tuned to this story. This will be an ongoing story so that we can see the beginning, take us through that hero's journey, take you through where we're going to wind up and how we make this all better.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's check in on this a couple times, and I'll mention how the hiring's going and the onboarding of our new people.
Nice. So one of the things that we were going to talk about when we started recording today was distractions and how to stay focused. And we came up with this topic.
What'd you say? Huh?
What's that?
What was that? What did you just say?
Yeah. Oh, oops. The distractions, staying focused. So I will also be transparent. I pride myself in having the discipline to do what needs to be done when I don't want to do it. And over the last couple of months, I have lost some of that focus and determination, and I have become extremely distracted. One, in the fact that my business is just growing like crazy, and I'm having to put my attention elsewhere. But the other is I'm allowing some of that head trash, some of that excuse to creep in. And it used to be, when I was training for some of these races, it didn't matter. It could be 1 o'clock in the morning that I got home from some event, and I would still go out with my headlamp on and get in my 7 or 8 miles.
Oh,
right?
man, I'm there with you.
And now I'm allowing these other things to distract me from what I know I need to do long term. And I've sort of got this, it's not a balance, because I need to do what I need to do for business, but I also need to do what I need to do for my personal life, because as we've talked, the business exists to serve us, serve our own personal lives, and to serve the mission that we have that will allow us to do bigger and better things. And the business is a vehicle to do that. So I can't let that just consume me and my actions, but I have just been extremely distracted from my one end goal, which is I got to be training for Cocodona 250 coming up.
Dude, you're running Cocodona.
Well,
That's
supposedly.
that's gonna be epic. Jamil Curry just launched a movie about that. They're premiering it in the Flagstaff like downtown theater.
Nice.
People don't know what Cocodona is. It's an epic 250-mile trail race uphill from Phoenix to Flagstaff.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. So we're talking about distractibility, lack of
so
focus.
this is a perfect example of what, you had your annual retreat with your team. You set out your goals for the year. You determined what you needed to focus on, and now this event that just happened is a major distraction. How do we stay focused on the things that we need to stay focused on without being sucked into the distractions that are going to prevent us from running the business that we need to run?
I have a few thoughts. Number one, hire a business coach. If you can afford a business coach, hire a business coach. My business coach has us go through a monthly routine of accountability. He runs a 1-hour meeting once a month. Everyone that has manager level responsibilities or that I think I want in this meeting has their annual focus. I lay out the vision for the year. They come up with their big rocks for the year. Those cascade down into projects, and every single month we report to each other out loud with him leading the discussion if we're on track or off track. And we pull up what we committed to doing 30 days ago and how far into those projects we made it, and then we set our commitments for the projects for the next 30 days. And we've been doing this routine now for over 2 years. And I got to tell you, it's built some significant momentum in the development of our business. That routine for me has been transformational. And I like that it's not me. For some reason, that works really well for me. That it's not me pulling everybody together. It's my coach, the business coach. And he's like, here's what you guys said you were going to do. Tell me what did you do? How did this work? It's in writing. It's in a Google Sheet. There's a different tab for every month. Everybody reports. Everybody's accountable. And something about showing up and reporting shifts our behavior and tethers our focus. So that's huge for me. Because we do that routine, I usually take a screenshot of my focus for the month and put it on my desktop on my computer so that I can pull that up. The other thing that I do is, you can't see that blackboard on the other side of the room?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the most important things and the vision for the year, I put on that board. I'm sitting here every day and I look up. There it is.
It's funny you mentioned that, because one of the things that I coach my clients on is we operate in an EOS-like fashion, where we do have the level 10 type of meeting where once a week we go through our quarterly planning, and we start with what are the important rocks, they call them, the big things that need to happen for this quarter. And we go through that, and in those level 10 meetings, everybody says, are they on track or off track with their rocks?
That's it.
So I'm very familiar with that. We start with the quarterly planning. We break that down into once a week we review that. And it's funny you mentioned tying that to a business coach, because as I think back now, I had a business coach and I ended that relationship starting in January. I had it through the end of last year. And so I'm thinking about the fact that I'm starting to be distracted and I'm starting to feel a little bit more, we talk about is your business in friction or flow? I'm starting to feel a little bit more friction. And it comes down to, as an entrepreneur, I'm my own worst boss. Like, I have nobody that I'm answering to right now, nobody holding me accountable, nobody calling me on my BS. And
We've talked about this before. You have running coaches.
I have running coaches. I've had them for years. Yeah.
I've had running coaches. I'm going to draw the line in the sand. We are never going to be the best version of ourselves, or I'll put the stake in the ground. We're never going to be the best we could be without a coach. in all aspects of our life. I just feel very strongly about that. Monday, today when we're recording this is Wednesday, 2 days ago on Monday, when I found out that one of my employees gave notice on Friday, one of my employees gave notice Monday morning. My senior operations manager says, I feel like jumping off a bridge right now. An hour later, I had a pre-scheduled 1 hour bi-monthly phone call with my one-on-one with my business coach. And I got on there and I said, hey, Tony. No, his name's Troy. You're Tony. I said, hey, Troy, rough day. I think I need to keep this short. There's some stuff I need to deal with. And you know what he said? He said, or we need to go longer so I can help you sort this out and get your head straight so you can be prepared for your next move.
Yep.
We went for a full hour. I'm so glad we did. And I've worked with him for years. He knows me. And that was tremendous. So if we're talking about staying focused, I think coaching is huge. I think having visual reminders is huge. But, man, I don't know if it's just you and me, Tony, but accountability to someone else, coach, board, peer, executive in your company. I think most of us visionary entrepreneurs, it's a blessing and a curse. We got a lot. We got a heavy flow of ideas.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate this conversation because I know exactly what my next action needs to be, and that's to re-engage. You know, I kind of went through the cycle with the coach that I had, and I learned a lot, and I was working with him for some very specific things, but, you know, not having that level of accountability to just check in and give you feedback about the things that you're working on, but also to keep you from going down this path of pursuing things that you enjoy pursuing, but that have no relevance in the direct outcome of the business. And one of the examples of that, I've been to a few conferences here lately. I was at the Systems Conference back in January, and there are a lot of nice, new, shiny things to play with in our industry. And you can't play with all of them. You can't implement all of them. And frankly, some of them, if you do implement and you implement poorly, increase that distraction. So it's just like with us with running. I mean, how many different running vests, running bottles, running shoes do we need? You don't need them all. You need to focus on what's going to get you across the finish line of the race that you're running very specifically. And part of my job as a coach is to help people avoid the shiny distractions, because frankly, let's just face it, every single one of us as business owners is looking for the easy button. If there was an easy button to push in every single aspect of our business, we would push it. But those don't exist, and we're being, I won't say sold a bunch of easy buttons, but we're being presented with things that we interpret as being the easy button that we still have to put work in, but that are major distractions. So I want to dig into that a little bit more when we do our next recording, because I've got, I think you and I have some different perspectives on where the market is headed and on where we're taking the industry and who's taking it there, frankly. So I'm excited to talk about that. But let's kind of bring it back, talk about the distractions, figure out if there's anything else that you want to wrap up with here, and then we'll move on to our next topic.
Yeah, I think this is a good, short, poignant. You know, I appreciated this conversation. I need to stay focused right now. I'm in a little bit of a pain cave, part of my race right now, using that analogy, and I just appreciate my business coach. I appreciate the tools to stay focused. There's a lot of distractions. It's too relatable, Tony. I just initiated 2 new software toys, and decided to move forward with them when my senior operations manager didn't have the capacity to onboard properly, and so what are we doing? So stay focused.
Yeah. Okay, I know we were about to wrap up, but I want to go down one more
right,
rabbit hole with the distractions. There's multiple ways. I know you mentioned hiring a coach, and I don't want it to come off as this is a commercial, because obviously
you're a business
if you
coach.
listen to
Full disclosure.
What's that?
Because full disclosure, you're a business coach. No,
right,
it's
exactly.
Totally independent. I'm not trying to. I like you, Tony, but I wasn't trying to set you up for more business. That's just my reality.
Sure. Yeah, and I want to stay focused on that. So obviously, if somebody is interested in working with me, I want to have that conversation to see if we're a good fit. But I am not the only solution out there in the marketplace. So if somebody was looking for a business coach to help them, and I 100% believe that everybody should have one in some capacity. I can't believe that I let that slip and didn't realize that, that is part of what some of my challenges are, is that, January I started the year without having somebody to keep me between the rails. And so I will immediately get that fixed. But if somebody was looking for a business coach, whether they have a lot of money or they have a little money or they have big dreams or they are just trying to survive, what would you say that people need to look for?
Well, first of all, change your mindset around the cost. It's not how much it costs, it's how much you're losing by not having a business coach. I think the cost is much higher for not having a business coach. There was a point 6 months ago when I had 3 coaches. Some people will hear this and say, "Well, Mark, you're nuts. That's weird. You must have a lot of problems." But I had a life coach, I had a leadership coach, and I had a business coach. And I was probably spending $4,500 a month for a while on coaching. It was like my best year ever, in terms of development, professional development. And my wife reported that my attitude was better, and that's not a small thing. I think, like you said, sometimes you move through coaches and you learn what they have to offer and you keep moving. But I think the advice I would give is reach out to someone you trust that has a coach that's working well for them. Try it out. Don't stop looking for coaches and paying for coaches. Just don't stop doing it. Start doing it and don't stop doing it.
All right, I think that's a good place for us to call this one. So let's get these guys back out on the trail, pursuing their finish line.
Here's your crystallized ginger. Take 2 sips of water, chew this up, and get out there and crush the next 8 miles.
I love the crystallized ginger, because probably people don't know what that means, but I can imagine that you have such a bad stomach right now based on what you're going through, that's a perfect example of tying business and ultra running together. So let's do it. We'll see you at the next aid station.
We'll see you at the next aid station. We're going to take the moped around.
Thanks for tuning in to the Property Management Success Podcast. We'll be back with another value-packed episode to help you level up your property management game. If you've got something valuable out of today's episode, please share it with a friend or colleague, and don't forget to subscribe and leave a review so you never miss out on future insights and strategies and tactics. Until next time, here's to your success.